Hello guys, it's me, Biliah the Sega Gamer, and today I want to do my initial review on the Hub. Yes, a channel that is dedicated to all generations, whether if you're a 50s kid, a 60s kid, a 70s kid, an 80s kid, or if you grew up during my time back in the 90s and early 2000s. The Hub is a great channel. It is a heck of a lot better than that new Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, new regular Disney Channel, Disney XD, and the CW for Kids combined. Okay, the Hub not only shows original shows, they also show reruns of the shows back in the past. Let's first start with their original programming. Let's start with Dan Versus. Now I watch It's and Beats and Pieces of Dan Versus, and I gotta say it's a very entertaining show. It's hilarious sometimes. I watch it at frequent moments when I decide to feel like I'm watching TV. And you know, this show is about a guy who is fed up with today's society, so he teams up with his best friend Chris, and pretty much they go on their misadventures. I didn't really see much of this show, but check it out. I also like Dan's voice, and as you all know, he's Curtis Armstrong, the same person who did Snot from American Dad, and I think Buff from the Zeta Projects. You know, Rose Crusher or something from the Zeta Projects. So yeah, go see Dan Versus. The next show I want to talk about is My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Oh boy, I freaking love My Little Pony. I freaking like My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. It is better than that 80s crap. Piece of shit! Seriously, that 80s crap is so horrible. The show, think of a combination between Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends and the Powerpuff Girls. Oh, despite this show is pretty much a tribute to the cartoons back in the 90s where Craig McCracken was working on shows like that. Even though the slapstick is a little bit toned down, though, it's pretty funny. And even though the slapstick involves physical embarrassment, not physical pain, like I normally do, like in every cartoon, but there were some cartoons back in the past where it has physical embarrassment. Remember that Animaniacs episode where Wacko got to go use the bathroom and he embarrassed himself, or that Tiny Toons episode where Hampton went skitty dipping in Montana Mac's pool and Montana Mac stole his clothes. Yeah, it's sort of like that slapstick style. It does have physical slapstick, but not all the time. But that's due to the show. That's due to the producers of the show trying to make it more kid friendly, trying to make it more family friendly instead of kid friendly. Which I gotta say, it's an A+. Also, I like all the characters. Let's start with Twilight Sparkle. Twilight Sparkle is she's a very responsible, dependent pony. She's a very responsible, dependent pony. She likes to study a lot, and she's more graceful of a leader. She sort of reminds me of Whale from Witch and Blossom combined, put together with other cartoon female leaders. Then we have Spike, a cool, laid-back purple dragon, which reminds you of Spiral from the Spiral series. Then we have is Applejack. She is a farmer pony that works hard in the farm and makes apple cider. And she's pretty awesome. Her southern accent reminds me of Sandy Cheeks, but not as, annoying. Then we have is Fluttershy. She's pretty much the quiet pony that doesn't talk a lot. And she's very consistent. She's pretty much like Bubbles from the Powerpuff Girls. And then we have Rarity. She is like the at first I thought Rarity was gonna be like Mandy from Totally Spies or all those other bitchy characters that I can't stand in cartoons these days with all that and a bag of potato chips. But actually, she cares about her friends, and I gotta say, she's the most gorgeous pony I've ever seen. And we have one of my absolute favorites, Pinkie Pie. Think of Elmira and Dot put together, but not as annoying and 10 times more funnier. Yeah, I freaking love Pinkie Pie. She's cute and hilarious at the same time. Well, anyway, My Little Pony's Friendship is Magic. I watch its and bits and pieces of the show, and I gotta say, it's one of the greatest shows that the Hub has on these days. I like the songs and everything. You gotta give credits to Lauren Faust, the wife of Craig McCracken. She knows how to make a cartoon that's damn good and are similar to cartoons I grew up back in the 90s and early 2000s. And also, this show has some great morals too, similar to cartoons back then, like those Sonic segments and the Will Morality from Animaniacs. Well, anyway, as for the other Hub's original programming, like Transformers Prime, I didn't really see that as much. I'm not a big fan of Transformers. Rescue Bots, it's okay, but like I said, I'm not a big fan of the Transformers series. And I don't like the character design. The character design has a lot of beady eyes. As for other shows like Kaiju, Rise of the Duel Masters, I know it's a reboot over the original Duel Masters that used to air on Cartoon Network's Toonami. It looks interesting. My only gripe is the animation style and the character development. The animation style is like self-shaded. Like, it's trying to have that darker tone like Batman Beyond and Batman the Animated Series, but it fails in my department. But I'll probably give this show like a third or second watch to try. Excuse me, I burped. You know what they say, third time is the charm. So yeah, pretty much the Hub's programming is like hit or miss. Like, there's some good programming, there's some bad programming. Also, I like about the Hub is that they air reruns of your favorite shows back in the past. Like, shows from the 50s, 60s, 70s, or heck, even the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. They show, like, reruns of the old Transformers, even though I hate that cartoon, I'm not a big fan of Transformers. Again, old G.I. Joe, even though I didn't really watch this cartoon, I'm not an 80s kid, I'm a 90s and early 2000s kid. Laverne and Sherry, I don't really remember this show as much because it was on in the 70s and I'm not a 70s kid. Happy Days. What else show? I think they showed the Wonder Years. That show aired in the 80s or late 70s. So I didn't really experience that show. And they also show The Haunted Hour and Goosebumps. Now, I remember Goosebumps on Fox Kids, and they gave everybody the creeps back in the 90s and early 2000s. Yeah, back in the mid 90s and early 2000s. So yeah. Wow. But this show should be like rated TV PG-13. Because, you know, there's just some little kids who are having nightmares. It should not be rated PG or rated G. For definitely sure. Well, anyway, the hub is a great channel. It's a great channel. Also, they also air kids TV shows back in the past, which I love, like Batman Beyond and Men in Black. I was wondering to myself, when the heck are those shows going to be back on TV? But now they are. And also they air one more kids TV show, Batman the Animated Series. I was also wondering to myself, when's that show going to come back on? Because I remember watching sorry, I had to get my breath. Because I remember watching all three of their channels back in the 90s and early 2000s, and it was awesome. Well, bottom line, I want to make this quick. The Hub is a great channel. Now, here are my suggestions for the Hub. Oh yeah, one more thing I forgot to mention. The Hub also still airs the Discovery Kids shows like Kenny the Shark and Grossology. So you don't have to be pissed off for a new channel to take away your old programming that you used to watch, unlike Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon and Disney XD and all those other channels that took away the old shows and drew it out in the garbage. The Hub still airs the old Discovery Kids shows. They still air Kenny the Shark, Grossology, The Future's Wild, and several others. And Tuckenstein. But I wish the Hub will show the Discovery Kids shows mixed with their original shows and the reruns during the day. Because during that night people are asleep like 3 in the morning and all that junk. So yeah. So if you like the Discovery Kids shows and if you're a little fed up about the Hub almost taking away their shows, they still air on the Hub, but only at very late at night. I wish they would air during the day. Oh, now here are my suggestions that the Hub should re-air shows from. Number 1, I want them to re-air Tiny Toons Adventures, Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, the Zeta Projects, Static Shock, and several others. Because I remember those shows airing on Kids WB. And since the Hub has the rights to Warner Brothers and DC and Batman, I was wondering if the Hub could re-air those shows during the day. So that way we could relive the good old days of Kids WB on a good channel. And also, I did see a Batman Beyond episode that involved Zeta on the Hub, and I'll show you this clip show right now. And yeah, if you see there, that's Zeta. Well, anyway, I'm Biliah, and I'm signing out. See ya.